Due to the recent economic downturn, as well as the rising cost of tuition fees, students, it seems, got hit the hardest. Daily Titan reporter Maureen Fox sought out some struggling students who are trying to make the most of their money by penny pinching. Trying to make ends meet is Matt Casas, who answers some questions regarding his situation as a struggling student.
Do you have a job right now?
No, not at the moment.
Why not?
I just recently got laid off on Friday.
Was this the result of the economic troubles going on?
Yes. I used to work at a law group, and due to the company closing down, they laid off a certain amount of people, and I was one.
How is it impacting your ability to pay tuition?
Well, I used to pay for it from my own paycheck, so at the moment I have no clue how I'm going to pay for it next semester coming up. So.
Okay. Do you receive scholarships or financial aid outside of that?
No.
The tuition increase, did that make it difficult to pay for tuition while you had a job?
Yes, actually, because I paid an initial fee, and then they came around, I think it was $300 more, $400 more that I had to put in for my own personal paycheck, which I didn't have at the time, so I had overdraft, so not a big deal.
Oh.
I overdrafted, but that's all cool.
Do you have any hope that you'll find a job soon and be able to help out with your money issues?
I'm hopefully to find a job soon, within a week, hopefully, cross the fingers.
What are some things you're doing to save money?
Not go out as much. Well, my sister takes me to school on Thursdays, so I don't have to waste my own gas. She volunteers to take it, plus parking permit, so I don't have to pay for that.
Do you live at home, or do you have to buy your own food and everything in general, or is that helping out a little bit?
Luckily, no. I live with my parents. They buy me food. I do have to pay rent though, so that's the only thing.
Okay.
Several students, like Casas, have troubles meeting tuition costs as well as basic living expenses. Ryan, too, would not be able to meet his tuition needs without the help of his guardian scholarship. Tu discusses his situation with the Daily Titan.
First of all, how do you pay for college?
I actually have been awarded the Guardian Scholars, part of the Guardian Scholars program on campus, which for people who have been in foster care or have been wards of the court actually receive financial aid. It happens through, you get some money from financial aid and the rest of it is covered by private donors who donate to the program. Mm-hmm. And what that covers is it covers tuition, it covers living expenses, and it gives me money on the side to live, essentially. So I balance out a budget for the semester and I get two payments, one at the beginning of each semester for a school year.
Okay. Would you be able to afford college without that scholarship?
No. When my first year here, I managed to get financial aid, and I still had to work a job in order to fund me going here. And then I was also commuting at the time, so I had to cover commuting expenses, but I wouldn't be able to live in the dorms like I'm doing now and cover my tuition and books.
Okay. Do you have a job on the side?
I currently do not have a job. My school schedule is very, very demanding, as well as it's been kind of difficult to find work lately, so...
Have you been, aside from the scholarship, have you applied for other financial aid in terms of grants?
Well, the financial aid does let me have like the California Pell Grant and Cal Grants. It's part of the financial aid, and the rest of it is supplied by private donorship to the program.
In regards to dorms, does that scholarship help you pay
yes,
for rent here?
it covers the rent. And usually how it works is we get our chunk of money at the beginning of the semester, and then we pay for the semester at a time.
Recent tuition increase, did your scholarship cover that?
It did cover that. I did have some problems this semester getting my money on time. I actually wound up getting it a month later than I should have, which means I did not have a chance to pay for tuition right away, which made me drop my classes on 3 separate occasions. So the class schedule I have now is not the same that I intended it out to be the first time around. Also left me wondering how I was going to manage to eat for a while there, because I live off of the money that's given to me. That's essentially what the program is supposed to do, is give you enough money to live on per month. It doesn't give you a lot for play and extra stuff, but it gives you enough to cover basic expenses. And that didn't happen on time, so I was struggling there for the first month of school. Essentially, I had problems with the financial aid office themselves. They actually had lost my paperwork. The paperwork I had to turn in was turned in late, but then they did lose it. I didn't even know I had paperwork that was supposed to be turned in, because I'd never had that before, and I found it kind of inefficient the way they tried to convey that I had to turn something in, because there's a small little section on my portal which I don't use it all the time. I use Blackboard most of the time. Portal doesn't do much for me. And in a small section there, they said I needed 2 things, and it was hardly noticeable. And so eventually I got contacted by the Guardian Scholars Program, and they told me that financial aid needed it, and so I went and turned in my paperwork, which they lost. So I had to turn it in a second time. Financial aid I have not found is necessarily the most efficient system here.
Yeah. And then last of all, what are some things you're doing to save money? Do you have any, I guess, cuts you're making to your own personal budget?
Well, other than food and the occasional thing to do, I really don't spend a lot of money. I can't afford to spend a lot of money. I try to not eat out as much as I'd like to, and I have to sometimes eat things that might not necessarily be the healthiest for me, like ramen, or if I have to eat out, it's generally some fast food, something more affordable along those lines. So it limits my diet, so to speak, which is okay, I guess, but I would like to eat healthier, and healthier requires you to spend a little bit more money nowadays. So. Well, I hope that I can eventually get a job, especially towards the later half of the semester, which would help. In terms of finances, I don't think there's going to be any extra money offered to cover me on a more monthly basis. I don't think they're going to allow to give us any more money than we're already receiving. And I hear that they're actually cutting back on things sometime soon. I mean, and that's not for sure, but I know that they're stopping enrollment, and I was going to go for an extra semester here, and I managed to pick up a minor, which I had been trying to, but if I hadn't picked that up, they weren't going to fund me for my next semester, which would have forced me to graduate this semester. So, it's interesting.
Last but not least, we sat down briefly with Megan Haney, another student at Cal State Fullerton, and asked about her situation and how she's surviving the school semester, fees, and living expenses.
First of all, how are you paying for college?
My parents are helping me with that.
Okay, do you pay any of the fees yourself?
Paid for parking, gas, and some books. So.
How do you pay for that? Do you have a job?
I work for the daycare system in Brea, and so that helps some, but I had to cut my hours. So.
Oh, is that then a result of the economic problems?
Yeah, because they cut so many classes. I was forced to take all afternoons, which is when I'm supposed to be working. So I'm only able to work 3 days a week now. So
has that made living harder?
Yeah, like a lot. Just like when I used to go out and like buy food, now I'm like bringing food.
Okay.
So.
Have you applied for any scholarships or financial aid?
No.
Do you think you'll have to in the future?
I might. Scholarships especially.
What are some things that you're doing to help save money?
Like my check, I have, like my paycheck, I take out, a couple, $100 a month and put that away. And then that's going to help pay for, like, my tuition for next semester, or at least books.